Thank you. Please take a moment, put away your phones. Let's focus up. We're asking for about 35 minutes of your guys' undivided attention. As one of the college kickoff activities, we've assembled a panel from many different professions, many different career fields. Hopefully, there will be a link to something that you're interested in. They have a lot of good stories and information on what they do, how they do it. I'm going to guide them through some questions after we do some introductions. I'm going to ask some general questions. 2, 3, 4 of them will kind of answer each of the questions. We'll work through that. I have 5 or 6 questions. Then we'll turn it over to you as an audience and allow you to ask specific questions related to a specific field. So we want you to, obviously represent our school and yourselves with class. Stay focused. I know as the day goes on, it's hard sometimes to stay focused and you want to be distracted. Just focus up. Listen, be attentive. There's some valuable information up here that you're going to get that you might not realize is as valuable until later on. So just let's stay focused. We're going to start with introductions. We'll go left to right. They're going to tell you who they are, what industry they worked in, what was their position or kind of responsibility within that field.
Good morning, Broncos.
Good morning.
Really? So some of you may know me as Mr. Joe at campus security here, but I retired 4 years ago from the automotive repair industry. Right out of high school, in high school, I couldn't wait to get my license and drive my Chevelle and fix it up. So I had a passion for cars. I went down to the local dealership. I got a job doing anything I could do, cleaning the shop, taking out trash, sweeping floors. And like a lot of careers that many of you will enter, you have to work somewhere, so you have to start somewhere at the bottom and work your way up. So then I started becoming trained as a technician, a master technician, had the opportunity to go into management. When I left, I was 16 years as a service director, so I was in charge of service department, parts department, body shop. When I retired, I wanted to do something fun. I was involved with the high school already because both my daughters went through here, so I wanted to be part of this campus and have fun, and that's how I got here.
Hi, my name's Erin Paulson, and I'm a Vista grad from 2013. And after I went on to UC San Diego and got my bachelor's degree, and now I work in the crime scene investigation section for Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. And so my job includes processing physical evidence we find at crime scenes, and I also document them through notes and photos, and then testify to a report that I generate, and we testify in court.
Good morning. My name's John Pratt. I'm the Senior Systems Engineer for Murrieta Valley Unified School District, so I actually work for the school district here. My educational background is in computer science. I minored in physics. I spent quite a bit of time bumming around the community colleges around here. I didn't exactly go right out of high school and finish my degree right away, so can answer questions about most of the community colleges around here. And I went to Cal State San Marcos right down the road, so I can answer questions about that. As well as for the last 20 years have a career in education. Before that, I worked in industrial automation and electroplating as a computer programmer.
Good morning. My name is Leah Reyna. You guys are juniors, right? Yeah. All right. Guys, when I was a junior, I had a baby. And finished GED. Don't do it. There's options. Don't do it. But in that time frame, didn't go traditional route. I got my GED in the summer between junior and senior year. Senior year started college as a trade school. Went to a career college to be a legal secretary because needed to make decent money. After that, started owning a financial business and was pretty great at it for a while, but economics change, lifestyles change, and we decided to go into a corporate industry, managed AT&T stores for 8 years, and for the past 5 years, my husband and I own, operate, and control a corporation now. So anything as far as being able to sales, corporate, business, any kind of questions like that, I'd be happy to answer today.
Hi, everybody. My name is Amber Freeman. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, and I have just transitioned into private practice. So I have my own practice called Hello Life Counseling. I went straight from high school to UC Riverside to go ahead and get my bachelor's degree in sociology. And then I took a year off and I did some behavior therapy with kiddos with autism. And then after that, I went back and got my master's, and I studied counseling psychology so that I can do what I do today. I did my internship working with people that deal with substance use and mental health concerns. And so today I just do a little bit of everything because counseling is a wide career field and you can really work with anybody.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Alex Pham. I'm a Vista Merida alum as well. I graduated from here in 2011, and afterwards I went to UCLA, got my bachelor's degree. Right now, I'm a special agent with the FBI.
Every time she's got the cool factor. You guys got to sell your jobs better, man. Do you hear that?
I'm based in Los Angeles, and I work counterterrorism cases. So yeah.
Hi, I'm John Blasky. I'm currently a structural engineer for Northrop Grumman. I wasn't the typical career path. Out of high school, I joined the Marines, did my 4 years, got out, decided rocket science was cooler, got my degree at San Diego State, ended up graduating there with my degree in aerospace engineering. But like I said, now I'm a structural engineer. I've worked some of the programs that I've worked in the past, F-18, F-35, NASA Global Hawk Triton, and some other programs that I can't talk about. And now I'm working advanced programs out in Palmdale, California, middle of nowhere.
Morning, students. My name is Bill Woolsey. I'm a civil engineer. I recently retired from the city. I used to review land development projects and home building projects. My 3 sons have graduated here from Vista High School, Coach 1 in basketball and 2 in golf. I also do real estate investment. I've worked as a home builder, or with home builders and land developers. If you have any questions, I can answer those as well.
Good morning. My name is Juliana Adams. I'm an engineering project manager with Riverside County Flood Control and Water Conservation District. I got my bachelor's in civil engineering. I'm a licensed professional engineer, and I got my master's in public administration from Cal Baptist University. Let's see, my typical day, I review, design, manage construction of federal projects, and yeah, that's about it.
Good morning, Broncos. My name is John Monteroso. I'm a Superior Court judge for the County of Riverside. And obviously, that's not where I started. I started out in law school, and that was sort of a fluke because I really couldn't figure out what else I wanted to do or could do. Like many of you, I struggled with trying to figure out what am I going to do with my life. And so when I was in college, I sort of found myself in a place where, by default, I ended up going to law school because it sounded interesting, and it was interesting. And then next thing I knew, when I graduated, I got a job with the Riverside County District Attorney's Office as a prosecutor, which I found fascinating, going to court every day, trying my best to prosecute cases, help victims, and so on. And then I became a Superior Court judge later. It's fascinating. There's something new every day. And like everybody else here, I think we all found something that we really enjoy, and maybe it wasn't something we expected to get into, especially when we were juniors in high school. So don't get discouraged if you haven't figured it out yet.
Good morning, Broncos. My name is Bert Weathers. If there's any basketball players out there, you'll be facing my son, Brian, over at, he's a Nighthawk, right? Wait a minute. Wait. Save the booze until you play them, okay? All right. So all three of my sons, they all went to MV. That was the only school, or else they'd have come here, you guys, all right? So when I was your age, I was working in a grocery store bagging groceries. And then 20 years later, I was with the same company, and I was able to, I was in charge of all the employment and all of the training, you know, for cashier and management training. We were just getting into the scanners. We went from the cha-chings to the, you know, scanning groceries, and I taught all of that stuff. And then I went to, I taught at Great Oak High School, another boo, right? And I taught career tech there for 10 years. And so I'm semi-retired now, and I'm a winemaker. And so I'm up in the wine country, living my dream, okay?
Thank you, guys. So I'd like to ask, because I think I could hear in the audience's voices when certain careers were brought up, you guys have a visual image in your mind based on movies, television, whatever, how that job or career is glorified or personified. I'd like for our panel here to discuss the realities of how their job compares to how it's portrayed in movies, television, stuff like that. So the life of a lawyer, the life of an engineer, the life of a special FBI agent, of a civil engineer, how are those similar and or different from what the image is that we portray in movies, television, and other stuff?
All right, so we get a lot of questions going out to scenes and stuff about, you know, CSI Las Vegas, obviously being the origin of the CSI franchise. You know, we get that a lot. I think the biggest thing is, you know, first of all, they portray us as having a lot of different roles. I'm not out there making arrests and interrogating people. Our job is a lot more specified than that. But I think the other thing that, you know, TV kind of misses is this whole, you know, there's an emotional aspect to this job, and you go out to these scenes and you see these victims, and you have compassion for them, and you get into this scene and stuff, and you want so badly to figure it out for them, and you develop this emotional attachment, and then you are done, and you kind of have to detach yourself again a little bit, and I think that's something that doesn't get portrayed as much, you know, on TV and stuff, is just that balance between, you know, having compassion and being emotionally involved in all of the scenes that you run and everything like that, but then, you know, at the end of the day, you have to go home to, you know, your life and your family and everything, and it's hard not to take that job with you. And so I think that that's the biggest kind of, you know, non-portrayal in TV.
Hello, can you see? Hello? So as FBI agents, we have to go to Quantico. There's a show called Quantico. It's 100% not like that show. It's not as glorified. You know, our uniforms don't look that great, you know, or, you know, we don't take apart guns and put them back together. We don't interview other classmates to try to find, you know, dirt on them or anything like that. But Quantico's its own kind of fun in real life. And I think there's a new show called FBI, also not like that. I think in TV, as FBI special agents are portrayed as like the mean ones who show up the last to, you know, any scene, take over the scene, you know, kind of kick away the local law enforcement. You know, that's actually not what it's like. We do show up at scenes, you know, usually last. But, you know, our goal is to, you know, work with our, you know, local, state, you know, other federal government agency partners and, you know, work as a team, you know, to figure out whatever is going on and, you know, and at the end of the day, you know, make sure everyone gets home safe and protect all of you guys. And kind of echoing what Aaron said, it is true, like, you know, working your day-to-day job, you know, in law enforcement, it's not easy, you know, and when you get home at the end of the day, you know, you need to go back to your normal life, and it's not always easy to do that, and that's definitely not portrayed in TV. So yeah.
You know, I get asked all the time, you know, what courtroom drama do you like the best? And like my colleagues here, I don't watch any of them. I can't take it because they're so inaccurate that it portrays the court system, I think, in a highly inaccurate and misleading way. There isn't the same drama in a real courtroom that you'll see on TV. There aren't the theatrics of lawyers yelling and screaming and throwing things. It's just highly inaccurate. The people that come into my courtrooms are extremely professional. They treat each other courteously, and there isn't as much fireworks as you see on TV. The other thing is they'll always portray the judge, and I hesitate to say this in a public group here, as this all-wise and knowing person. That's not what they are, trust me. You know, we have hours of preparation to learn about whatever it is we're ruling on before we even get into the courtroom. And so the way TV portrays it is that all this knowledge is built up in the judge's head, and she or he just immediately knows the answer. And that's not true at all. And the other thing, too, is, you know, it's portrayed when there's a horrible thing that's presented in a court, a terrible crime where people were hurt, a murder case, a child molest case, something along those lines. It affects everybody that's hearing that. TV doesn't portray how it emotionally impacts everybody involved, not just the judge or the lawyers, but the other staff that's in there. And TV dramatizes that, I think, too much. So don't believe anything you see on TV about how a courtroom is run.
So, like I said, I did a short stint in the Marines. So if you, relative to what the reality is of, and TV shows, video games, if you want to see the world and blow things up, it's pretty damn accurate. But other than that, we like to highlight a lot of the cool things about our jobs, but more specific to joining the military, like there's people like you that join the Marines out of high school, and they're maybe 3-4 years older than you that aren't with us today, and it sucks. Like there's loss, there's things that we do, that we sacrifice to make sure that everyone else in the United States has those freedoms. So if you want to go down that path, I can kind of give you more background after, or when we do the Q&A. But that aside, I'm an engineer as well, so there's you see all this cool tech that's state of the art, and there's a lot of people that are great at what they do, that are the best in their field, that where was I going with this? That do all these cool things, but it's not as easy as I guess TV portrays it to be, because it's not. It's pretty hard. We're trying to solve the challenges that the country faces, as well as challenges that are foreseeable in the future that we might not know are challenges yet, but we're still trying to solve those problems, so when they come up, we already have an answer for them. But yep.
Yeah, and I think engineers are seen as pocket protectors and big glasses.
There are those for sure.
Yeah.
There are.
So
Big ass glasses, well, I probably shouldn't say that. That
I think see, I had the big.
I'm going to tell your mom, Blasky, that you keep saying inappropriate words on stage with a microphone. Where is Miss Blasky? We got to find her.
So I did have big glasses. I had LASIK 2 years ago. So
yeah, getting into engineering, it's you have it's not one. It's not there are people that fit the stereotype, but you got guys that are super nerds, and you got guys that are 6 foot tall, swole as heck, and can still do the high-level calculus and calculations that I can do,
You also have the females in the group
as
well.
Oh, yeah.
All right, thank you. Let's go on to another question. I think what are the greatest rewards, benefits, perks, things that get you guys excited about your particular career, and make sure we use all appropriate language when we describe that.
I enjoy the most is working for myself. And so if you're, all in my life, I was always taking orders. When I was in the grocery store, it was always do this, do that, do it at this time, do it this way, all of that. And just like when the bell rings, you guys know, get up and walk, right? or sit down, be quiet. That's what I did for 40 years. And so now I work for myself. I get to make my own decisions. I get to do what I want, when I want to do it. And if I don't want to do it, I don't have to do it. And so working for yourself, and I did take some classes in small business. My greatest reward now is just to work for myself, go to work on the days I want to go to work and not have to do everything that they tell me to do. But you got to make money too.
So I don't think there's any TV shows about working in a dealership or working on cars, but the ZR1 Corvette does almost 200 miles an hour right now. So to be able to see one of those get unloaded and get in it and take it on a road test, the Camaros, to watch the technology grow in cars. Everybody got here today by a car. Your average car now has over 20 onboard computers that operate everything within that vehicle. So to be able to be trained and get to know computers and scan cars and talk to the computers and figure out what's going on inside that vehicle while it's operating was pretty cool. I got to go to some racetracks, got to fly in a Goodyear blimp, got to do all kinds of cool things that were perks along with the job. As I was moved into management, I think the things that were most enjoyable was hiring, interviewing, and helping other people launch their careers. So in a car dealership, even though I was fixing cars is how I got started, there's still a vast array of jobs within the dealership. Any dealership probably has 15 or 20 part-time girls that answer phones and cashiers. Many of them are promoted up and run the business office and make 6 figures a year just because they got in at a ground level and they worked hard and they got opportunities to promote. So there's definitely never going to be a shortage of jobs in dealerships because obviously everybody's driving cars around. And if you work hard and stay focused on what you do, those opportunities will come your way and you can promote. And most all those managers and the highly compensated employees at the dealership never dreamed of getting to where they were or doing that as a career. They just went there as an entry-level job. My daughter still works at one of the dealerships. She started as a service porter on the service drive, parking cars. She promoted up to a head cashier, and she's worked her way through college, and now she's able to pursue what she wants to do as a college career. So it's a good time. It's a good intermediate path, too, to get to where you want to go.
So within counseling, the best thing that I love and I enjoy so much is being able to see people grow. Because I'm able to take part in that and like walk with them on their journey to getting to where they want to be, and to see like those things click for people, and to say like, okay, now I finally am beginning to understand like why these things have happened and why I do the particular things that I do is super amazing. But then on the other side, there's, I don't know if I want to call it like the dark side of counseling. But it's also a lot of work. I mean, just in order to be licensed, you have to have 3,000 hours to sit for the board and take a test, say that you are qualified to see people on your own.
How do you get those 3,000 hours? I mean, just let them know.
Yes, so like within those 3,000 hours, what you have to do is you have to see kids, couples, families, individuals, and you have to be supervised by a licensed therapist. And so you meet with that therapist on a weekly basis and they talk with you about, okay, like you can improve in this way, or maybe you should try this type of technique. Because therapy is much more than just saying like, well, how did that make you feel? And, you know, just taking in all of the information and just listening to everything that everyone said. There's much more to it. But now, having my own practice, what's really important is like, it's really great working for yourself, but if you don't work, you don't get paid. So if I want to take a vacation, I can do that, but that's money that I'm not making, so I have to make sure that I'm budgeting things out so that, you know, I can pay my bills and I can do the things and take care of the responsibilities that I have.
I think after owning a few businesses, the freedom that you have, the the capability of being able to make your own decisions is amazing. It's above anything else, but I've been called anything from crazy to lucky. People will, when you first go and say that you're gonna do something, you do something different, you say, I'm gonna step out on my own. People will literally, told us we were crazy. Now, 5 years later, they're like, oh my gosh, you guys are so lucky. But no one sees the in-between of the first few years you're grinding. You're doing everything you can. Freedom means you're free to move 24/7, and in building something, that's what it takes. When you're trying to accomplish something, that's where your heart and soul go on a full-time, all the time, nonstop basis, is to build your vision if you want to succeed. So freedom means responsibility. Freedom means that you get that choice, but that choice now, everything falls on your shoulders, which is, it's a blessing, but it's taking on that responsibility, holding your character and holding integrity to your word in everything you do and say.
Yeah, thanks, Coach. Being a retired civil engineer, what I want to point out, one of the major perks was being able to retire. At some point, we don't want to work anymore and we get tired. We don't want to go to school. We don't want to teach. We don't want to blow things up or what have you. So working in a government-type job, there are retirement benefits. Working for the school district, there are retirement benefits. They have gone down, the retirement benefits, but they're still there. So talking to my children, my advice to them was you want to look for jobs that pay well and have good retirement benefits, or start saving. If any of you have time, you Google what it takes to retire or retirement crises we have in America. There's roughly between 80 and 90% of the people cannot retire. So that means they're going to have to continue working. So that's not going to be fun when you have to keep working when you're old. I want to point, though, to the law enforcement careers and being a Superior Court judge, not to those positions exactly, but I do know people that are in the law enforcement, and my wife used to work at the courthouse, and you're dealing with difficult situations where there's tragedy and trauma that you see every day, and then you have to go home and then be happy towards your husband or your wife and your children. So, and it's glorified on TV, as Coach said, and so you just have to be aware of that. It's not always what you see on TV.
Thank you. So, I feel like it's good for them to tie in because there's all different age spectrums. We have people who have gone fully through a career and retired. We have people up here that are fairly new in their career. I think, Aaron, you're in your first year as a CSI agent. So different spectrums. If you could go back and give advice to them as high school juniors of things that they can do, take advantage of in order to meet those career goals like you guys have, what would that advice be?
So in high school, I knew I was really good at math, and that's pretty much all I knew. I thought I would be a mathematician or a math teacher because that's all I knew existed in the math field. Then I was an avid freshman through senior year in high school, and I was exposed to engineering. And so I took a lot of different personality tests, and I learned more about the different types of civil engineering while I was in high school. So then when I graduated high school, I was able to select schools that had civil engineering programs. And so my advice to you is, if you like a certain subject, consider looking into the different fields that you could potentially go into if you're interested in chemistry or in biology or in mathematics, or you love to write. Think about what careers are out there, and even ask for like an internship. If one of you is interested in job shadowing me as a civil engineer, you guys are welcome to do that. And I think anybody up here would be willing to introduce you to the different fields that they're in to show you if that's the field that you're actually, interested in pursuing.
And to kind of build off that, like especially in engineering, it being can be a very technical job, starting early and figuring out, hey, is this what I want to do? And getting that exposure, whether or not, you want to go work for NASA, you want to go work for a defense company. getting in early and really figuring out, yes, I have a passion for it, but can I, really do this? Because if everyone could do it, that's cool, But not everyone, everyone can have a passion for it, but not everyone can do it. It's a very specialized career path. So like I said, the earlier you start and the earlier you figure that out, the better off you'll be. Especially like when you get to college and you do take that engineering path, it's very competitive post-college, like getting in early and go interning for someone, getting that exposure to like really applying the engineering principles is very, very, very important.
I think the biggest thing that I would tell junior me would be to not be so narrow-minded. I think when I was a junior in high school, I mean, I did, all the quote-unquote right things. I took the right classes and everything, but I was very kind of narrow-minded in my career. It was like there were very few kind of career paths that existed. When I was a junior, like I never in a million years would have thought that I would end up in this career field. So I think just keeping an open mind and not focusing so much on, the popular and like lucrative career paths. I mean, if that's what you're passionate about and what you're interested in, absolutely. But I think keeping an open mind to other career paths and really focusing on what you're interested in and what you really want to do, because at the end of the day, you have to go to work every day. And trust me, you want to like your job, because if you don't, it's going to be a miserable time until you retire. So, making money, I think it's been mentioned before, like making money is great. Living on your own is great and everything, but there's a way to do that fits within your interests and your skills as well. And so I think that's the biggest thing that I would tell myself, is to have more of an open mind.
Aaron, because I know you are one of the younger panelists, when you were in high school, what did you think you wanted to do when you went to college, and how did you switch that and end up where you are? And then we'll come back to the other people who had questions.
So I was pre-med in college, so I thought I was going to go off and be a doctor. And so in high school, I took all the AP classes and everything like that, and went on to UCSD, which has really good program for the biological sciences. And so that was, kind of my career path. And I kind of stayed on it all the way through college, because that was kind of what everyone was doing when I went there. It was like, you're going to go off and you're going to do research, or you're going to go into medicine somewhere. And it was, it's great if that's what you want to do, but as I graduated college and was preparing to take the MCAT, I was like, you know what? I don't really think that this is what I want to do, which is a really scary moment when you're, fresh out of college and it's like, wait, where's the rest of my life going to go now? But, I started to think about what I was interested in, and then what aspects of medicine appealed to me, and fit those into other skills that I had, and found an interest in the, forensic science, crime scene investigation field. And then I tested for this job, and now I'm here.
Thank you.
I can't agree more. I mean, what she has said is the best advice that I think I could ever give to anybody. That is, at your age, keep an open mind and try different things, and don't be so, don't just have tunnel vision on one career, like this is the end-all, be-all. Because let's face it, when you're 16, 17, you don't know. And I say this often, and people think I'm joking, but I'm telling you the truth. That people ask me today, I say, I still don't know what I want to do when I grow up. And it's a fact. Keep an open mind. You'll find something that you're going to love. So try different things. This is the time to experiment. Even when you're in college, even when you're out of college, experiment. I know so many people, and I bet you we can go down the panel, and they could tell you friends or relatives they have who've had this exact same experience, where they had it in their head because somebody put it in their head early that you're going to go and be a lawyer, you're going to be an engineer, you're going to be whatever. And that's all they focused on. And then they got there and they realized they hated it. And then they ended up doing a total career switch, which is fantastic. They figured it out early and they made a switch and they found something they loved. But the point that you need to take with you today is keep an open mind. You don't know where you're going to end up. Just follow whatever it is you like and try different things.
Yeah, to go on that point, it's like, when I was in y'all's position, junior, senior year, I put in my college applications. I got accepted to some UC and state schools, but I was like, nah, I think I'm going to do something else. So I, like I said, joined the Marines, got paid to see the world, and it was great. But like I said, back then, did I know I was going to be in engineering, doing structural engineering? No, hell no. I had no idea. But that was the whole, that was the
Language
process.
again.
That was the process. I followed what I really wanted to do and figured it out on my own. Like, there's no real one set path to get to your endpoint. There's multiple paths. So that, I mean, that's the kind of thing, is finding what you love doing and having a passion for it, so that, you know, I mean, there's guys in my field that love doing engineering, and yeah, they could have retired, but they love it too dang much to quit. Like, have that sort of work to where, like, your job isn't really a job, it's what you love to do.
Guys, I think everyone's kind of touched on up here of the unknowns and understanding that at this age we don't know. There's one thing, two things that you guys can really control now that impact literally the rest of your life, is your integrity and your character. That integrity and character and the way that you're representing yourself now, today, the way that we show ourselves to other people, the way that we carry ourselves, the way that you're showing and representing yourselves on any social media platforms. These kinds of things are checked. As a business owner, I look back on people's profiles before I hire them. We look into these types of records because they're public, they're open. How you're representing yourself and how you keep your word, the integrity that you have in your character, that you can control now. That you can carry through the rest of your lives, and that you can start building and growing upon this second.
You guys, I think a theme that I'm hearing amongst all the panelists is be a lifelong learner. There's no age that you know everything. I always joke with people that, you know, I attend a seminar on the anatomy of a speed bump because there's probably something interesting to learn about speed bumps. I mean, quite frankly. Right, so, you know, and I'm back in graduate school. In my
He is a
40s.
computer science guy.
It really, and push yourself to do things that you wouldn't normally be interested in. If you got two left feet, whether it's in college or now, take a dance class. Expose yourself to things that you don't think you like, and you might really surprise yourself.
So great common themes: exposures, taking chances, not being afraid to change, integrity. All of these people, the amazing thing, what I don't know if all young people realize is, almost every job or career you're going to go into nowadays, they do extensive background checks everywhere. So everything that you do now could come back. I guarantee you, she didn't know she was going to go through extensive CSI background when, oh, I'll just go do this. Now everything's under a microscope from high school, college, and beyond. How about, we have about 8-9 minutes. I'd like to take some questions from you, specifically related to any of their career fields. Who has a question?
This one goes out to you as an attorney at law. I was wondering it's kind of a multi-part question, but I was wondering, while not specifically for lawyers, what are some other supporting or peripheral careers for the judicial system other than like being a lawyer or being a judge? And the follow-up to that would be, how exactly do you make that transition from going to college to going to dedicated law school?
I'll take that first. When you finish college, or as you're finishing college, it's like going to any other graduate schools. You're going to be taking the LSAT exam. So you need to take that exam, which is essentially like the SAT, but for law school. And then you start applying just like any other graduate school. So you have to make that decision. If you want to go directly from college to law school, you need to make that decision like in your junior year. But many people go do something else first and then go back to law school years later after some work experience. But as to your other question, there are lots of other areas that are related to law. Working in a law office, there's paralegals, and there are other support staff that would work within the law office. There are private investigators that work for law firms, both on civil cases, criminal cases, and everything else that comes to court. Within the court system itself, I mean, the Riverside County Court is a good example. We have 80 current bench officers, but we're supported by, I want to say, almost 700 employees. And that would include courtroom assistants, court reporters, It would include those who process files and deal with the public back in the office. So it's like any other big business, quite frankly, a big governmental agency with lots of support systems. That doesn't really relate to the law, but you could be doing any government job within the court system.
Other questions?
So this is directed towards the engineers. So I would like to become a patent lawyer, and so that requires me to go into an engineering field. But do you guys know of anybody who has done engineering, has a degree in it, and then gone into law school to do patent lawyer, and enjoys it or sees that this was the right outcome for them?
Yeah, I have a buddy who got his degree in aerospace engineering, thought it was the greatest thing, but then, when he got his degree and, the kind of climate that we're in right now, he decided, he really, as fun as aerospace engineering is, he wanted to make a bigger difference in society, and he saw that law was the way to go. So he ended up turning down a job at the company that I work for and going to go to law school. He found his passion in that, being active in that field. So even then, when you have your degree, you can still make that change and be successful.
We have time for probably one more. Let me go. I already got in the middle there. We'll go one more over here so I can run the entire PAC. Steps in.
This one's for the lawyer. So you're a judge, correct? So as a judge, do you necessarily have to go down a prosecutor path to become a judge, or can you switch from defendant to a judge?
No, absolutely not. You do not have to be a prosecutor. I think there was a time where that was very politically expedient to be a prosecutor because governors like to appoint prosecutors to the bench. And when there's an election, we see that prosecutors usually win those elections to the bench. But in the last 8 years, plus now with Governor Newsom, that is not their criteria. You can do any kind of law, and in fact, this is actually a crisis in the law, if you ask me, that the bench throughout the state is in critical need of diversity of all sorts, whether it's career diversity, background diversity, racial diversity, all of that. And so we're fortunate now that we have, I think, an understanding of that, and the governor, the current governor, the past governor, and I think even Governor Schwarzenegger to a large degree, really focused on diversifying the bench in all regards. Okay, so anybody who's a lawyer can become a judge.
Can we give our panel a nice round of applause? Thank them. All right, we're going to dismiss you here in a second. If you had an additional question, the panel will stay here. You guys are going to go to break. After break, you're going to return back to your teachers' classes. So thank you, guys.